Hello everybody, how are you doing? Fathodas here. Today, 14th of August, there is a new post from the developers about the new feature crafting, Titan Quest 2. Let's take a look. This could be interesting or maybe not, who knows. In our early access roadmap we promised you crafting. This is now here. Yes, we know with the latest update we got crafting. Our mission. Crafting is one of the areas where we decided to hugely diverge from the first game. Finding good items that work for your build is always an amazing feeling. Yeah, but in Titan Quest 1 we don't actually have crafting. The only crafting type of stuff that we have is making artifacts or taking charms and relics and putting them on items. That's it. We definitely want to maintain this aspect and make it so that players have to put in work to get the right kind of gear that fits them. That's very good. At the same time, as you have seen with our respect and modifier features, we think highly of flexibility and customizability. This will be no different with optimization. This sounds very promising. Let's find out. There will be several ways in which you can alter and improve the items you find. Repeated attempts will increase your material and gold costs and will eventually become a barrier to further attempts. At that point, it may be best to look for another base item to craft on. You will not, however, be able to create items from scratch. Yeah, I was thinking, what if we can get a basic white item, the base actually item without any affixes on, and use that item to maybe reroll it randomly, get two random affixes and then use this crafting method to change the affixes. Maybe this would be good. I don't know, maybe. This would also give a reason for white items to actually exist and to make them useful. You know, we have, for example, in Diablo 2, we have white items and we have, I think, some recipes there with the Horadric cube. We can put white items there in the cube and the recipe items and we can create new items, something like that. It would be nice to have something like that in this game as well. Not necessarily the Horadric cube, but I mean to be able to use white items and do something good with the white items. Reforge affix. Select one of the affixes to reroll. The possible range of values will be clearly displayed, so you will know when to take a win. It is pretty cheap to start, so a few rolls on a fitting affix with poor values could be a very good idea even if in the early game. You can only do this for one affix per item, only one affix. Choosing an affix locks all other affixes for the reforge action. Yeah, okay, this is, you know, this is not necessarily bad. Here you have the choice and the consequence. Because if we had the option to be able to change both affixes all the time, then there wouldn't really be this choice consequence thing. It would be only, you know, spend time to get exactly what you want. But this way you have choice, you choose which affix to try to replace and whatever happens. Although it is not necessarily bad to be able to change both affixes, because in other games we have examples. In other games we can change both affixes. Of course, we have to spend currency, lots of currency to do that, but still, we can do it and we can bring an item very close to perfection for specific builds that we are trying to make. Replace affix. Have you found a great item that has this one property that really doesn't do anything for you, but it's otherwise great? You won't just be able to select anything you would like to replace it. There is some limitations. Depending what could roll as a prefix or suffix, as in what the item could have rolled as naturally, you will have a set of possible replacements. Like with the Reforge action, you can do this to only one of the affixes and each additional attempt increases costs. Yeah. Choosing an affix locks all other affixes for the replace action. Add affix. Some items don't have their maximum possible affix amount when you find them. If that's the case with yours, you can get started with this. Oh, that's awesome. Similarly, to replacing affixes, there are limitations to which affixes can be added. Come on. make it expensive, but let us add some of the best affixes to make the items really good for endgame builds. Given that this action isn't ever going to make your item worse, we decided to start at a much higher cost, including the need for the drop-only vital flame material. Okay, but let us actually choose the most powerful affixes so that we can, even if it costs a lot to make the perfect item for a specific build, we should be able to do it. Make it expensive. Make it very expensive. It doesn't matter. But give us the option to actually invest our time to a specific goal. And even if it is very expensive, we can do it. And then in the end, the reward will be the item itself. Okay, we have an item here. What is that? Add a new affix. Empty affix slots. Passable prefixes, passable suffixes. It would be very annoying to have only a few options when it comes to the selection of prefixes and suffixes and not have all possible affixes that exist in the game and whatever. I see some wasted potential here. Upgrade item level. Yes, that's very important. Finding a perfect item during leveling, then having to part ways with it as you progress can be a difficult decision. What if you could delay this a bit though? Why not chip and big a one-off move, upgrading your items level with raise the base properties and also the tier of the affixes? Though the latter will have a ceiling, meaning that you can't just turn an early game item into a perfect level 55 item. Its affixes would be notably worse than finding it again. So basically using this sooner rather than later may be ideal. Hoarding for eons isn't rewarded. Most importantly, this form of crafting actually works on epic items as well. So if I find an item at level 10 and I choose to keep it, never touch it, and I reach level 60 or 55, whatever it is, I don't know. You know, the maximum item levels or whatever. Can I not then upgrade the item level from 10 with one upgrade only to 55 if that's the maximum? If I do that, there will be limitations to a ceiling to the affixes, so they will not really be at that level that I have to fight the item again. Okay. You know, one of the most annoying things and one of the reasons why I probably can never make Diablo 4 my main game, I'm not talking about as a content creator, I'm talking about as a player, is because in that game you find items, legendary items, whatever, that scale with levels of characters, and later those items become useless because you level up, those items do not level up, and then you have to refight the items at higher levels, then maybe get the legendary powers from the items and put them on other items that you need to refine. This is very annoying and it is not really good. It makes the items lose their value of their uniqueness, especially if we are talking about unique items such as epic and legendaries. Anyways, that's my opinion. This can only be done once. Will increase attribute requirements, level 45 to level 50. But truth be told, the design of some of the items in this game is amazing. Some of the items. Getting the materials. So, how do you pay for all this in game? We wanted to create a bit of tension between the gold and material economy. While enemies will drop some of the crafting resources needed, you will need to get the bulk of them from salvaging the items you don't need. Okay, once crafting gets expensive after a few rounds, you will have to make runs for salvaging as well as selling. This phrase here, you will have to make runs for salvaging as well as selling. What this one says to me is that, dude, you are going to be farming for lots of green and yellow items. You will need to actually actively grind for those type of items to go back, sell them, salvage them, to be able to do crafting. Not necessarily bad, but this is what it is saying to me. The more crafting steps you have for your item, the more difficult to get materials will be required. There are the following types of materials. Crude fragments dropped by enemies and salvaged from all items. Mystic shards dropped by enemies and salvaged from magic items. Yeah, but what enemies? All types of enemies. Amplified energy dropped by enemies and salvaged from rare items. Vital flame dropped by stronger non-boss enemies. Yeah. Bowed essence dropped by stronger non-boss enemies and salvaged from infrequent items. Golden spark salvaged from epic items. So, what about bosses? Or maybe this means dropped by enemies, maybe it means also bosses. Because here it says non-boss enemies specifically. So, Vital Flame doesn't drop from bosses, Bowed Essence doesn't drop from bosses. This one doesn't drop from bosses. I take it that these three drop from all types of enemies, including bosses and very strong enemies. The future of crafting. On our road to the full release, what does this mean? Does it mean that they will actually try to release the game in 2026? Because if this is what this actually means, then this means we have 4 months left for this year to be over, which means that maybe within the next 4 months we will get the full release of the game. Is this a good thing? I don't know. We will be busy with delivering epic armors for you. Yeah, epic armors do not exist in the game currently as far as I remember, alongside our final chapter including new faction items. So, how many chapters do we have currently? 4. We have the prologue. We have 4 chapters as far as I recall, and we will have 5 chapters overall. That's a very good number, by the way. It is very good because, you know, this is one of the games that you got to replay multiple times with multiple characters, and if you go to play the campaign and with all of your characters to actually complete the whole content of the game, I would say that it is already too much. We already have 4 chapters, if I remember right. Each chapter takes at least 5 hours to complete, at least the first time you play it. It also depends on the speed you play, if you have a good build, if you know the game, if you don't know the game, whatever, how do you play, do you do farming in each chapter? Anyways, but an average amount of time for good builds, very good builds, would be 5 hours approximately to finish each one of the first 3 chapters. I haven't played the latest chapter yet. I don't know about that one, but all other chapters, the previous chapters, excluding the prologue, took me about 5 hours to complete. Not only the main quest, everything, explore everything, complete all side coded, all side events, absolutely everything. Because I always do all coded and all maps, everything in Titan Quest 1. This is how I play Titan Quest 2 as well. If we have 4 or 5 chapters that take 5 hours to complete, including side coded, we are talking about 25 hours of main campaign with a single character. And that is very good. Personally, I think that that's perfect, and it is a bit too much, to be honest, because if I got to play the campaign with multiple characters, you understand that it takes much more of my real life time, and this means because I don't have so much free time anyways, I will have to play few characters, not as many characters as I would like to. So, anyways, what it says here is that maybe I would say that if I had to guess, then maybe this means that they will try to release the game in 2026. In that case, I would expect the game to come out around Christmas of 2026. It is just a guess because, you know, there are 4 months left. They are working on a final chapter, which is not out yet. They are working on many epic armor items and other... Wait, what are they saying here? While this is going on, we are actively planning additional features, though, such as a crafting feature to turn your epic items into legendary ones. Very nice. Charm relic upgrades as well as artifacts. Yes. I wonder how the artifacts are going to function this time around. These are, however, going to be post-release additions. Free-coded updates. Largely connected to our endgame. When the game comes out, there will be no endgame, no artifacts, no legendary items. Yeah. Anyways. We'll get back to you at a later date about exactly how this will work. Okay. The most important thing now is for them to be able to, first of all, finish the final chapter, the epic armors and everything else that they want to put in the final, for the release of the game, but also optimize the game as much as possible. That's extremely important. And okay, we can wait for the rest of the features. End game. I'm really curious about the end game. Let's rate up. Okay, so this is the new post, Friday, August 14th. News posted. Good news, interesting news. Some questions there, and yeah. Where are the answers to these questions? So guys, if you have anything to ask or to say about all this stuff, leave a comment below. And I guess I will see you very soon again with more content. Have a great day.